Hey everybody, welcome to Retirement with Jim. So today we're going to talk about Gen X and what you need to do. Gen X, this is your time. So this is, before we get started, let's, if you like my videos, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe and the bell notification to get notified for more videos. And of course, feel free to add comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear comments, and it really helps the algorithms as well as helps the channel. So please feel free to comment along the way. So let's go ahead and get started. So Gen X, this is for you. And that is because you probably hear so many people tell you, oh, you can't retire. You know, you're going to have to work until the day you die, which is not true. Or tells you, oh, you got to have $1 million to feel, you can have enough money to retire. And I'm here to tell you, don't listen to the naysayers. There's plenty of positives and plenty of hope to be able to retire in a very comfortable fashion. It's just going to require that you do a little bit of budgeting, a little bit of planning, a lot of planning to get yourself ready for when you want to retire. So the first step you need to do is you need to take a look at what's your budget? How much money are you spending? How much you got coming in every month? What do you got going out? And most importantly, where are you spending your money? So once you get a full picture of really an accountability of where your money's going, it will help you then decide, where can I make changes? Where can I adjust in what I do so that you can say, yeah, I really don't need to spend this. For instance, if you're someone who loves the Starbucks, and people always talk about this, but it's so true. Are you a daily Starbucks person, a weekly, and how much do you go there? And so when you look at how much you spend and then you move that out weekly, monthly, yearly, I think a lot of times, we spend our money, I'm not going to say mindlessly, but certainly we don't think a lot about it. And so now when you account for it and account for it maybe in what you spend in a yearly basis, you might be astounded how much money you're spending. The same holds true for things like, gym memberships, subscriptions to magazines and things that you maybe once had an interest in, but you really don't take a look and use anymore. So are you really getting use out of it? Is there value to it to keep it? Because you've got to have that value to keep it. If value's not there, then you're completely wasting your money. So along with that, what are you setting aside, in your 401k? Are you in a 401k? Because it's never too late to join. And I don't care what anybody says, depending on how many years you got left, savings is still savings. And so if you can turn around and put money into a 401k, and you can put as little as 1%, sometimes 2% is the minimum. And, then you're on your way. And believe me when I say that's pre-tax dollars, so 1% is not as much as you think, but once you click on it and you start saving, it's a save and forget thing. It comes out of your paycheck long before everything else, and next thing you know, a year later, you've got a nice, comfy little sum of money there. And of course, it continues to grow because it compounds, daily. And you're on your way. You're on your way to having that fund started. And I guarantee you that once you see it, and you don't go look at it weekly, you don't even look at it monthly. You look at it maybe every couple of months or so until you get started. It's almost like when you first get started, you might want to wait until you're 6 months in to see, and then at a year's point, and then be really surprised. Because at that point, you can also say to yourself, I'm going to move that up by 1%. You can, most of the time there's calculators, and you, in the 401k, so you can see when you up your contributions, you can then see, where it's going, how much that's going to then come out of your paycheck, additionally. Along with that, depending on where you're at, you can then also, if your employer has an employee match, that's usually somewhere in the 5 to 6% range. So if you hit that number, that's free money. They match, basically, dollar for dollar, on an employee match up to that percentage, 5%, 6%. So again, your money can grow, and that's free money. So it really makes a lot of sense to be able to get that money and make use of it. So you're going to get lots of people who tell you, oh, God, it's just, Social Security, for instance, not going to be there. Social Security comes out of payroll taxes. Is the rest of the country going to quit work? Because that's the only way Social Security is going to stop. It comes out of paychecks. It's a match, by the employer, and half of the employer pays, and you pay the other half. If you're someone who is independent and you work for yourself, well, then yes, you have to pay the whole percentage. But either way, unless the country stops working, you know what? There can certainly be some adjustments that have to be made if they can't make the obligations, but the obligations are only going to go down by about 20% or so. And they're like most politicians, they are going to kick that can down the road until they have to do something. It was what they did the last time. And there's no doubt that they will do it again this time. There's 66 million people on Social Security in the United States. It's not a program that can afford to die. It's not a program that can afford, to be just shut off and nobody's getting any money. There would be all kinds of ramifications from that. So don't let the fear mongers get you when they say it's not going to be there, because it is. I guarantee you, there's no doubt in my mind, it will be there. And so, but you do have to start saying, okay, what do I need besides Social Security? Now, part of that is, what adjustments have you, or are you willing to make for yourself? So, for instance, like most people, credit cards. Everybody's got credit card debt. We all live on our credit cards. Let's face it. Let's be honest. It's something that all of us do. So you have to say to yourself, okay, I got to get the credit. So before you retire, you want that credit card debt down. You want it down to zero. So you can go out and get a new interest-free card that will give you interest-free from anywhere from 12 to usually 22, 24 months, thereabouts. And once you transfer that over, now you start paying that down. Now you're no interest. You can actually make headway on your credit card debt. Now it does require that you make the sacrifice that says, I'm going to put the cards in the drawer. I'm not going to use them. I'm not going to spend on them. And your whole goal is to pay that down. And then to stop putting everything on credit. Now some of you use your credit card for everything, and that's okay if you are disciplined enough to make sure that you pay off that bill at the end of every month, because you didn't want to incur charges. If you have that kind of program, then you're in good shape. But let's be realistic. Most people don't. Most people, I'll just pay the minimum, and you'll be paying the minimum for a long, long time. They're the new modern day mob. Loan sharks. Credit card companies are notoriously, they make you think they're your friend, but they are far from it. They're out to make money off of you, and quite a bit. So you got to have a program in place. If you have other debts, it's like, okay, if you've got a car payment, get that car paid off before you retire. Because then you don't have that credit card debt. You don't have a car payment. The nice thing about a car payment is, in that situation, you want to have a car that you're just putting gas in it and your insurance. And once you do that, believe me, that frees up a lot more of your money. So if you can get the car paid off quite a bit, that extra cash that you were paying for a car payment can either go into your savings account or help pay down the credit card debt, whatever comes along. But, give yourself that goal. Pay the car off as soon as possible. Get the credit card debt gone. You can start saving that extra money, and you can either put it in your 401k and build that portfolio up, or you can start a rainy day fund. And let's face it, everyone needs that rainy day fund. And along with that, your mortgage. So it used to be, you had to, you enjoyed when you retired because your house was paid off, because you had your house for, 30 years, you paid the mortgage off. And, when you went into retirement, your money was kind of just your own. You just paid your real estate taxes, maybe here, in today's modern times, your HOA, and that's kind of it. So, but nowadays, it's not necessarily a reasonable expectation that your mortgage is going to be paid off. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing terrible about that. You have to have a mortgage as long as it's not going to be a large percentage of your income, whether Social Security, 401, what you have saved, so that you can afford then to still have money to enjoy your life. There's another thing. I'm married, and my wife retired before I did. So when she retired, she started taking Social Security. We used that money and we paid off a bunch of debt. And then we put money in the bank and saved it. And so if you're, married and you have that as an option, it's a great option. So you want the one who's making the most money to actually work until their full retirement age, or as close to it as possible, because then you're getting the largest amount of income from that, as well as then, because you retire early, you're reducing your income by 8% starting at 62. So the longer you can go, the better off you are. 65 is a great number because then you're also getting your Medicare. You don't have to worry about medical coverage. And regardless of who you are, what you are, how good of health you're in, you're going to need health insurance for when you get older. So your life will change. It will slow down. Health issues are just some of the things that happen to all of us when it comes to getting older. So the biggest thing is, do you have a plan? And so we have this tendency to kick the can down the road. We learned that from, everything happens in our lives. I'll do that later. I'll look at that later. Well, you gotta do it actually sooner than later to at least get yourself rolling. Get a plan in place that allows you to be able to actually retire. And you can retire comfortably where you get to enjoy your life. And you get to go out, you can, possibly travel. And traveling doesn't necessarily mean traveling the world. It can mean traveling locally. It can mean traveling around this country by car. There's a lot of things you can do that to enjoy, and then it's a matter of what kind of hobbies you have and, what kind of interests you have. And let's face it, it's anything you do in regards to that is far better than work. A bad day of retirement beats a good day at work any day of the week, because you just don't have the stress of that job. You either, depending on what you do, whether you have a position that has people working for you, you don't have to manage them, their time, all the personal things that go on with, and trials and tribulations, or the physical demands of that, depending on your work schedule, I am so happy that my time is my own. It has been great to retire and not have to get up and have the freedom to do whatever I want. And so, again, don't listen to the naysayers. They are not your friend. They're not doing you any good. They're just fear mongers. And that's just not true. Do your research. There's a lot of things that they say just don't really pan out to be the truth. So once again, if you like my video, please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell notification, and along with that, feel free to add some comments. So with that, I will then see you in the next one.